So a lot of you know a lot about Stewards of the Coastal Redwoods, but our mission statement is to protect the natural and cultural resources of Armstrong Redwoods State Natural Reserve, Austin Creek State Recreation Area, and Sonoma Coast State Park through volunteerism, environmental education, and stewardship for generations to come. Our vision is a vibrant, diverse community of people, programs, and partnerships that ensures the resilience of the lands and waters, sustaining all living things. And we're a nonprofit organization, and we're a state park cooperating association as well as a co-manager. And we provide education, visitor services, and some operational support in Armstrong Redwoods and then out at the Sonoma Coast. We have a board of directors and a staff and a vibrant staff, and we're really supported by members and volunteers. And here, because so many people have a passion and avocation for the coast and redwoods. And I'm going to move on and let Amelia. Okay, so introducing Amelia.
Hi.
And Amelia is the volunteer coordinator, and she will tell you a little bit about herself.
Yes. Today I'm just going to go over a few things about the statewide Volunteers in Parks program, um, of which you will be a part if you decide to join us. And go on to the next slide. Just a little bit about the California Department of Parks and Recreation. Everybody calls us state parks. We're honored to provide access to parks and open spaces and contribute to a healthier and richer quality of life for Californians and for people all over the world who visit. We have 280 state park units, 23 are in our district, and we contain the largest and most diverse recreational, natural, and cultural heritage holdings of any state agency in the nation. Over 68 million people visit annually, and our state park system lands protect and preserve an unparalleled collection of culturally and environmentally sensitive structures and habitats, threatened plant and animal species, ancient Native American sites, historic structures, and artifacts, the best of California's natural and cultural history. Next slide, please. California State Parks' mission is to provide for the health, inspiration, and education of the people of California by helping to preserve the state's extraordinary biological diversity, protecting its most valued natural and cultural resources, and creating opportunities for high-quality outdoor recreation. This slide is a map just to orient you to our district. The furthest north park in the Sonoma Mendocino Coast District is Westport Union Landing State Beach, which is north of Fort Bragg. And then all these parks on the left are part of our district down to Sonoma Coast State Park. It also includes Montgomery Woods State Natural Reserve, Navarro River Redwoods, Hendy Woods, Schooner Gulch, Maillard Redwoods. So it's a pretty big district. This slide is just to show a picture of how many volunteers we have in the Sonoma Mendocino Coast District. This is from 2023. You can see that most volunteers are most active in the summer, but volunteers are active year-round and contribute thousands of hours every month. So we're very, very deeply grateful for all of the help. And thank you for being here today. This is my contact information. My phone number recently changed, so this is my new number, 707-617-9404. And you can always reach me at amelia.shaw@parks.ca.gov. Thank you.
Thanks, Amelia. And Bet Merritt is our volunteer coordinator. Take it away, Bet.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everyone, for being here this morning. As Lisa said, it is a gorgeous day, and we appreciate you sharing your time with us. For those of you who are already volunteers, thank you so much for all that you do. For those of you who will be joining us, we're ever so grateful for your time. The Stewards of the Coast and Redwoods is a volunteer-based organization. If it were not for the volunteers, the stewards would not exist. So we're very grateful for your time and for all that you do to make our little part of the planet a better place. I'm going to talk a little bit about onboarding. There's a bit of paperwork that needs to be done with regard to your volunteer experience, and there's several ways to accomplish that. On the Stewards website, under the volunteer tab, you'll find the onboarding packet. To be very frank, many people find that a bit cumbersome to fill out. So the path of least resistance is to have wonderful Amelia, who's our state park volunteer liaison, set your volunteer paperwork up for electronic completion via DocuSign. And again, that's the path of least resistance. I'd be happy to help you with that. You are also more than welcome to come to the volunteer office at Armstrong Woods. And there you can have a nice cup of coffee and fill out your paperwork hard copy. But again, path of least resistance is to have Amelia and I help you with the DocuSign electronic completion of the paperwork. And that will just take a matter of minutes. We want to make this as easy as possible for you. So my email address is my name, Bette, B-E-T-T-E, at stewards.org. And you can also reach me at the Volunteer Center. That number is 707-869-9177. I'm at extension 6. So please feel free to contact me with any questions you might have. Look forward to helping you begin your volunteer experience. And thank you again for your time and for being interested in our little part of the planet and making it a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Bet. And we are going to be looking at these different opportunities today, both in Armstrong and at the Sonoma coast. And now Amelia is going to talk a little bit about speaking with the public.
Thank you, Lisa. These slides were put together by my coworker. He's a supervising ranger, Alex Westlow. I'm just going to briefly read through them. They're just about how to best speak with the public as a volunteer for California state parks. So making first contact with the public, it's best to start your interactions with a warm greeting and introduce yourself, such as, "Hello, my name is Amelia. How are you?" Or, "Howdy, I'm a volunteer with California State Parks, and my name is Amelia. Can I answer any questions?" Just to keep it on a positive note and be welcoming. Education is the word of the day. During contacts, your goal is to educate the public. You can educate them about the wonderful biodiversity in California state parks or tell them why it is protected. And it's good to provide options if they have a dog or if they're trying to do some other activity that's not allowed. Maybe just suggest other places where what they want to do is allowed. Dogs are allowed on paved surfaces such as campgrounds, and in the parking areas. I know there's certain beaches that allow dogs, so I think we have a resource that can help share that information. Phrasing is key. When speaking with a member of the public, we use no confrontational language. It's best to use I instead of you. I noticed the dog here versus you have your dog here. Or my understanding is versus you broke this rule. It sounds a little better and easier for them to respond. Phrases to avoid. Alex recommends this book called Verbal Judo, The Gentle Art of Persuasion. And these are some phrases that you wouldn't want to say to a member of the public visiting, such as "come here," or "you wouldn't understand," or "because those are the rules," or "calm down." Alex is always like, have you ever been told to calm down? And you know how that doesn't work. So just to keep in mind when you're interacting with the public. Tone can save the day. What you say is important, but how you say it is even more so. Think back to a time someone has told you something, and while what they said made sense, it made you mad. Why? Because of the tone. So sometimes you can have an angry tone, and you're just coming across kind of angry, even if you're saying delightful, welcoming words. So it's good to just keep in mind how you're coming across and how your tone sounds. When to back off. Volunteers are here to help the public and educate. Part of your job is helping people understand what the rules are, but volunteers are not enforcers. So if someone breaks a rule, you can politely inform them of the rule and why it exists, but don't tell them they have to leave, or I'm going to call a ranger, or you're going to be in trouble. Um, if someone pushes back, please just step back and don't take it personally. Just walk away because your safety and well-being is paramount. When to call dispatch, we have a dispatch number similar to 911. It immediately alerts any law enforcement staff with state parks that's on duty. So what needs to be reported immediately to dispatch is any injury or medical to the public, an employee or a volunteer. If there's a missing person, any property damage to public or state property, if there's a fire, a water rescue needed, fighting or arguing between people, any situation that could cause immediate harm to persons, the park, or wildlife, theft or vandalism, a traffic collision, or a wildlife interaction with a bear or a mountain lion. So those are the emergencies that we ask you to please call dispatch if you see that while you're volunteering. So if there's an egregious violation, please call NORCOM. The number is there on the screen, 916-358-1300. And this number is for volunteers to use. If a member of the public needs to report one of those emergencies that I just said on the last slide, they can call 911. This is for you to use as a volunteer to directly reach our dispatch number. And then please tell them the following: your name, your location, the violation, and your phone number so they can reach you if they need more details. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Amelia. We really, just thank you for just going over that. Your role as a volunteer is to educate and inform, and like Amelia said, not to provide enforcement, but we are also, sort of the eyes and ears out there on the trails and in the visitor centers. So we're also there to help keep people, safe and inform the state parks staff if we need support that way. And also the information that Amelia mentioned, like the phone numbers and the procedures, we have links on our website that do go through, that have all those numbers. At the end here, I'll go through our website and show you some of the resources that are available. Obviously, this is an overview, so you're not going to remember or know everything now. You'll have multiple chances to get to know all this information, but we just want you to know it's there. So we'll go into our specific programs now. And I'm going to start us off with the Armstrong Redwoods Visitor Center and sort of the visitor centers in general. Kathy Moore is the coordinator of the Armstrong Redwoods Visitor Center and couldn't join us today. And Suzanne Thomas is with us today, and she's the coordinator of the Jenner Volunteer Center, and she will speak to that role. But in general, the purpose of the volunteers, the visitor centers are really amazing places for connecting with the public and providing information. And so if you're someone that likes talking to people, that likes learning about their stories, finding out where they're from, and then sharing information with them, either of the volunteer centers are great places for that. There are people from all over the world that come through the visitor centers, both in Armstrong and out at the coast. And it's really fun. You can see that there's merchandise, like at our Armstrong Redwoods Visitor Center. That's like t-shirts. And that's Justin Lindenberg, who's our executive director, along with Bet there, holding up those Banana Slug t-shirts. Justin couldn't join us today, but he is represented there, and I'm sure you'll get a chance to meet him if you start as a volunteer. So we have, in addition to providing information, we do have nature-related merchandise. And so there's the retail aspect to the volunteer centers. And that's a really important form of revenue because half of that money goes directly back into supporting the Stewards education programs, and the other part goes directly back into supporting the park system. So it's also fun because if you have any retail background or a service job, or you just like connecting with people, Armstrong Redwoods is an incredible visitor destination, as well as being, obviously, it's an incredible forest. And there's a lot to know about the Redwoods. And if you're interested in volunteering here, we have a lot of resources that can help you to learn more about Redwoods. You don't have to know everything ahead of time. Most people come into the visitor center wanting to know what trail to walk or where the bathrooms are. And so there's lots of resources to help you that. We have trainings for Redwood education docents. So we really encourage people to cross-train and take some of our classes and just really be connected with the park, because being inside the visitor center, you are sort of like the center of this hive of activity where people are coming and wanting to share stories, but know about the park. And the more you can connect with the park, the more you can share with them. And and you can certainly just learn where to direct people for more information. Last year, Armstrong Visitor Center had more than 65,000 visitors. So it's a huge public service, helping to keep the visitor centers open. And we actually are open every day of the year that volunteers are available to be there. So I'm going to pass this off to Suzanne to talk about the Jenner Volunteer Center, and then we'll take any questions.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Thomas, and I'm the volunteer coordinator for Jenner Visitor Center. Uh, there will be some overlap with what I'm going to say with what Lisa has just told you, so bear with me. For those of you who haven't been out to Jenner, the visitor center is located in the old boathouse. It's literally on the water. And there's a boat launch next to it and a kayak rental place next door. So a lot of activity. There's a deck and outdoor seating area, which there's a deck you can see in the photo collage. It's a great place just to hang out, watch the water. Inside there is a wall of windows that looks out on the water. It overlooks the river. A lot of visitors will bring their kayaks or paddle boards out there, or rent kayaks from the place next door. So that's fun to watch. And sometimes they have questions about things. It's a lot of birds, egrets and herons, and even an occasional otter or a seal. That's always exciting. Inside the visitor center, visitors find educational materials, including a pelican and a harbor seal pup. They're both taxidermied, but the kids love them. And of course, a lot of educational handouts that are free. And then all of the same kinds of retail items that Lisa just mentioned. The visitors do come from all over the world, and I love hearing their stories. I recently had a family from the Netherlands, a mom and a dad, probably a 2-year-old boy, and they'd flown into Alaska and rented an RV and were driving all the way from Alaska to the tip of South America. There was a Japanese cyclist who had started in Japan, flown over to Alaska, was doing a similar trip, but was taking it all the way around the world. It was going to take 4 or 5 years to travel around the world on his bike. So getting to hear stories like that, that's just amazing. During the heat waves, we'll get a lot of people from the inland, in Sacramento, Healdsburg, Santa Rosa. They are so happy to get out to the coast and the blue sky and the cool air, and it's just a place with a lot of happiness. And we also get just a lot of people from Sonoma County, San Francisco, and the East Bay, just out for a day trip. Maybe they're going to Bodega Bay for lunch, or they want to go for a hike. So it's just, I love being there. Typical questions: where can I go hiking? Can I take my dog to that beach? Where can I rent a kayak? They see kayaks next to us and assume we're renting them, and it's a private place. Where can I get lunch around here? And of course, that most important question: where is the public restroom? I also like to tell them about the harbor seal nursery at the mouth of the river, and show them photos of the seals. Claire will be telling you more about that, but the seals are just so cute and so much fun. And if they just drive less than a mile up the road from Jenner Visitor Center, they can actually drive to an overlook and look down on the mouth of the river and see the seals. So for those who have limited time, that's a great option. I also encourage them to go visit Armstrong if they haven't already done it. Now, as far as the volunteer shifts, they come in two sizes. During the week, it's just one person for 4 hours, 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock. On the weekends, there's a morning shift and an afternoon shift, and those are 3 hours. They start at 10 o'clock or at 1 o'clock. So 4 hours during the week and two 3 hour shifts on the weekend. Shadowing is a great way to see what we do, and I would love to show you around. I'm there every Wednesday and occasional other days. I'd love to have you, come out and hang out with me, and we can just do it together. Bet can put you in touch with me. Now, if Wednesdays don't work, let her know, and we'll figure something else out. Either I'll go out on a different day, or one of the other volunteers. You can shadow with one of the other volunteers. And you can keep shadowing until you feel comfortable. We want you to feel good about what you're doing. Also, because I live in Cazadero, which is 15 minutes away, if you really are in trouble, you can call me and I can try to talk you through it, or maybe even come out and help you out. What we ask is at least one day a month, or you could do one day a week, or you could do some combination of the two. We're just very grateful for your time and your efforts. And as has already been said, without volunteers, these centers can't be open. If you need time off for any reason, doctor or vacation or an event, let us know and we'll work around it. Couple of amenities I want to mention. There's a really good cafe 2 doors over. So if things are quiet and you want to run over and grab a quick coffee and scone and bring it back, you can hang out on the deck and just watch the river or talk to people. Also, we have a dedicated parking spot for the volunteer, that's kind of a sweet thing when it's a crowded weekend. So last of all, comparing Jenner to Armstrong, I've only shadowed at Armstrong once, but I've been in their visitor center many, many times. The obvious difference is Armstrong is surrounded by redwood forest and Jenner is surrounded by water between its location on the river and being very close to the ocean. Um, Probably the bigger difference is that I think Jenner has fewer visitors than Armstrong, so it's at a slower pace. I happen to really like that because I like to talk to people and learn about what they're up to. And, if they're into it, sometimes they'll hang around 15, 20 minutes and just talk about their trip or their life or whatever they want to talk about. And that's really a lot of fun for me. And I think Armstrong is probably a faster paced. Uh, it's probably that might be a better fit for some people, but I like that more relaxed kind of kickback pace. So anyway, obviously, I do love it out there, and I'd be happy to introduce you to Jenner Visitor Center. If that sounds interesting, ask Bet to put us in touch. Stewards is a great organization, so whatever you choose to do, I'm sure you're going to be really happy about it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. And that was just wonderful. Yeah. And as you can see, Jenner Visitor Center is just a gorgeous location. It's a really special place. So I hope whether you decide to volunteer there or not, that you do stop by and see it. All right. So Lori, you're up with the Pond Farm Pottery Docent Program.
Thanks, Lisa. And again, thanks everyone for coming and hearing about our different programs. Many of you, or many of the visitors to the park and the coast, are unaware that we have this really amazing, significant cultural and historic site just up the road, a few minutes from Armstrong Woods. It's known as Pond Farm Pottery. You can see a picture of the barn right there, which was the studio. It's the home and studio of the Bauhaus-trained ceramicist Marguerite Friedlander Wildenhain. She was an acclaimed German Jewish potter in Europe who was forced to flee the Nazis in 1940, and she ended up in Guerneville. Amazingly enough, after a few years, she accepted an invitation to join an experimental arts colony that was starting up in the hills above Armstrong Woods. So she arrived here in 1942, and although the colony only lasted a few years, she stayed on and opened up her own studio, Pond Farm Pottery, and lived and taught and worked there until her death in 1985. Thanks to the hard work on the part of many people over many years, Pond Farm Pottery received National Historic Landmark status just a year ago. So it was a huge accomplishment, and we're really proud of the site and the work that's been done on it. The primary focus of our docent tour program is to spread the word about Pond Farm and to share this important, really poignant story of Marguerite Wildenhain. And we do that through public, but also through private tours. And in doing that, we also build community, and we're working on elevating the site as well through different educational programs. The barn you see here is one of the three significant structures on the site. One of the others is the former guest house for Wildenhain, and it is now the site of the Artist in Residence program that we also have here during the summer months. And the third building is her home. So we do the tours once a month, every third Saturday from March through October, and private tours can be scheduled any time of year. The tours generally last about 2 hours with 2 to 4 docents at each tour, depending on the size and the numbers of people. We have invited former students of Wildenhain's to participate in the public tours to talk about the workshops that they were a part of and to demonstrate throwing pottery on one of the barn studio's original kick wheels. And you can see the potter in the center is doing a demonstration. He is also one of our docents, and he was an artist in residence, so he's been very involved. It's wonderful to have him. We also, if we can't get a former student, a pond farmer, we call them, to do the demonstration, we have a small team of local potters who are interested in bringing back clay work to Pond Farm Pottery, and they provide demonstrations at every public tour if no student is available. If you like the idea of volunteering with Pond Farm Pottery, but you think you're not the interpretive guide sort of person, there are plenty of other ways to be involved with Pond Farm, like assisting in the 4th grade Adventure Pass education program. You can see a couple of the pictures of the classes there, one with our docent, Brian Martins, showing them some pictures of Marguerite, and then up above the group in front of the sign. You could work on a special oral history archival project related to Pond Farm Pottery. If gardening is your thing, there's always site restoration work to be done. One of our priorities this year is to rehabilitate the extensive gardens that Wildenhain planted and cultivated during her 40 years on the property. There's no specialized or prior knowledge necessary to become a docent for Pond Farm. We have a really good, very extensive docent manual that's chock full of information on the land and the history of the site, with background on that first arts colony I mentioned, and of course, of Marguerite Wildenhain's story, which is a very fascinating one. We provide a basic script for docents to follow while leading the tour, but we also encourage all the docents to read widely about Pond Farm and all the artists connected to it, to the Bauhaus and its founders, the studio arts movement in America, and Wildenhain's 3 books that she wrote. And then whatever the docent learns, whatever you learn, you can just add to your tour that you're giving. Every tour is therefore unique because of the different perspectives that the individual guides give to it. And really the best way to get a feel for it is to shadow a few tours. And as Suzanne was saying, you can shadow as many tours as you like to feel comfortable, and you'll always be with another docent to share the task. The story of Pond Farm Pottery includes the history of art movements and arts education, social history, women's history, Jewish history, and how the life and work of a single artist and teacher still ripples through the art world. If any of this sounds interesting to you, please get in touch with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. So we're moving right along in the orientation, and that's wonderful because it means people will get a kind of a longer Saturday. So we're going to take a break right now. And when we come back, we're going to hear about the Armstrong Redwoods docent program, as well as all of our coastal programs. And if you are presenting, just know we're a little bit ahead of schedule. So let's take a 10-minute break. We'll be back here at 5 of 11. But actually, before we do that, let me ask, is there anyone who has any questions so far about the visitor centers or about Pond Farm and volunteering there, or anything they want to add about any of those programs? And if so, feel free to unmute.
Um, Hi, this is Mike. I'll add something. Uh, some people are concerned about um, discipline issues, excuse me, as Amelia talked about how to interact with the public. But I think this applies to all of our programs. Um, we really don't have many issues with the public. They're wherever they are, whether it's at a visitor center or Pond Farm or Armstrong Redwoods or the coast. They're there to enjoy it. They're not there to make trouble. Um, I've been doing this for a lot of years, and I've never had any kind of an issue with the public, uh, wanting to cause a problem. So anyway, just if you're concerned about that, you want to be aware. You want to take the tips that Amelia suggested, but it really hasn't been a problem.
Thank you, Mike. I wanted to say thank you to Suzanne for stepping in to be the program coordinator at Jenner and just say welcome. Thank you.
I also wanted to add that if any of you have not been to Pond Farm Pottery, even if you're not interested in being a docent specific to Pond Farm, you are welcome to contact me and take a tour. I'm happy to give you a private tour, or you can join one of our summer public tours.
Okay, let's take a 10-minute break. We'll see you back here at 5 of 11. Okay, welcome back, everyone. All right, Mike.
I'm up.
Oh, we missed this picture. This is our
Oh no.
great picture. I just want everyone to take a look at this amazing photo. I'm actually not sure who took this. I think it was a Stewards volunteer, but this is we'll be speaking to seals and Seal Watch soon. But what an amazing what amazing animals and an amazing place. Okay, Mike, you're up.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're all back. Um, I'll be talking about the opportunities to volunteer with the uh, public education program at Armstrong Redwoods. As the heading on the slide collection says, it's both adults and families. And also, I think the next slide is about school groups, but let's talk about adults and families first. First of all, many potential docent volunteers are concerned that they are not experts on redwoods or redwood ecology. Don't let that stop you for a couple reasons. One is, as has been mentioned, there are a few questions that most visitors have, and if you know the answers to those, you're in good shape. You'll know where the bathrooms are. You'll know where the Armstrong tree is, where the Parson Jones tree is, and then the other things you can pick up as you go. It's been mentioned that shadowing is a really good way to get comfortable and to learn how to do whatever your volunteer position is. Basically, what that means is you go along in Armstrongs, it means you would go along on a tour that's being led by somebody else. And you do that as many times as you need to feel comfortable. As has been mentioned, every tour is different, every docent is different, every tour group is different. So you'll never know everything, but you don't need to know all that much, and you can learn it as you go. We have a ton of resources available to you at the Armstrong Visitor center. We have a volunteer office. We have a library with lots and lots of materials. We have lots of materials online that you can take a look at and download or just read online. So don't let lack of knowledge be an issue. There's lots of ways that you can learn what you need to know. Um, so anyway, this slide is about adults and families. The majority of the people that we docents deal with are school groups or tours. Uh, but go back, please. Um, but we do have families that come out. I had a while back. I had a group of people who were coming out from Michigan to celebrate somebody's birthday. We've had groups of, for example, the Olympic cycling team wanted a tour. So, looking at the pictures in the upper left is one of our docents just sharing about what appears to be a California hazelnut plant. Um, he likes to come out and ride his bike around on the roads and just stop and talk to people as he encounters them. In the upper right, there's one of our docents who basically stations himself at the Armstrong tree. There's a bench there where he just sits and hangs out and talks to people when they want to come, when they come to the Armstrong tree. In the lower right, there's a picture of me. I'm the good-looking one with the orange shirt, doing training of future docents. So we've got one of those coming up on January 28th. If you're looking for something to do, even if you're not sure you want to be an Armstrong docent, you're welcome to join us. We'll talk about docenting. We'll take a walk through the park and talk about some of the features that are there. We'll end up at the volunteer office and where we will go on the website and we'll show you some of the resources there. So you're welcome to join us on the 28th, but do sign up so that we know how many to plan for. Okay, next slide, please. As I said, a lot of our docenting is with school groups. In the bottom center, occasionally we actually go out to schools and do things with them, but the vast majority of the time we'll have groups of kids that come out. Whether it's adults or kids, we try to keep the ratio of not more than 15 kids per docent. And then, of course, with school groups, there's always a number of parents and teachers along also. Most docents kind of have their shtick that they do. There's different shticks for the first graders than there are for the eighth graders. Um, but we take them through the park. Usually takes a couple of hours. Most school groups show up either at 9 or 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and they usually want to be at the picnic area by noon and have lunch there. And then they go on home. So we usually have about a 2-hour tour. And a lot of times you're kind of talking about what you had planned to talk about. On the right-hand side there's a tour that encountered a banana slug in the middle of the road. So they spent some time talking about that. But again, the idea is that you're sharing with the park. You kind of have to let the group's interest guide you, their questions guide you. So sometimes we have a plan what we want to talk about, but we have to go where they take us and go where nature takes us. What's the forest have to share with us that day? So hope you're interested in being a docent with us. Oh, another thing I should mention is roving docents. Um, in addition to our tours, we have a number of docents who will just walk through the park. And I do this sometimes. Somebody will be standing there looking up at the trees, and I just introduce myself. Hi, I'm Mike. I'm a docent here. Can I answer any questions for you? Or did you see that deer that's standing over there? Or whatever. So roving docent is another way to just familiarize yourself with the park. And lots of people like to do that. Some of our docents don't like to deal with the kindergartners and first graders, and some of our docents don't like to work with the eighth graders and ninth graders and 10th graders. And some of our docents don't like to work with the kids at all, and they just register for adult groups. So the way it works for tours is schedules posted online. You look at the schedule, you find a date that looks like it'll work for you, and you sign up. And you sign up to shadow a few tours, and then when you're ready, you can sign up to lead a tour. And you can also sign up to lead a tour, but ask one of the other docents to to kind of shadow you and give you feedback. You can also, we have a number of docents who'd be willing to walk with you as an individual or just a small group of 2 or 3 people and help you get ready to lead your tours. So there's lots of options for learning, and we have a lot of resources available for you. One of them is a frequently asked questions document that'll take care of probably 90% of the questions that you'll get when you're doing tours. I think that's, yeah, that's kind of my shtick. If you want to know more about any aspect of Armstrong, you can come out on March 8th to the county fairgrounds. There's something called Discovery Day, and Stewards are going to have a booth there about the tide pools, have a booth there about the Redwoods, and a booth there about geology, and you can find out even more. So I'll be happy to take any questions. Should we do questions now, Lisa, or wait till the end?
Yeah, let's do questions now.
So are there any questions for me regarding Armstrong Redwoods tours or roving docents? Okay, well, you'll think of them right after we end the Zoom. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Next, we are going to begin our coastal programs, and Hollis Bewley's here. And Hollis, if you're there, do you want to just introduce yourself to everyone and take it away? Welcome.
Sure. I've been doing tide pool programs since 2008. And in the spring of 2008, just about this time of year, I attended an orientation like this one, and I was working full time. And so because I'd been a tide pooler for a number of years, I was originally interested in the roving tide pool program where I could just rove different beaches during low tide on the weekends. But they were talking about the tide pool education program, which leads school groups out into the tide pools. And I thought, well, I could take some PTO and I could do that. And then they were talking about the Jenner Visitor Center, which interested me. So like you, I attended an orientation like this, intending to sign up for one program, and I walked away signing up for 3 of them. So I hope you're as intrigued as I was many years ago. There are 3 ways you can participate in the tide pool program. Tide pool education leads classrooms into the intertidal. That happens during the spring months because the low tides are in the mornings, and that scheduling works for the schools. We have a total of, I think it's 24 field trips scheduled now between March through June. And they generally come out for about 2 hours. The beach that we like to use is Miwok Beach, meeting in the North Salmon Creek parking lot because it's a wide beach. There's lots of room to spread out, and it's safe. And we have good exposure on the rocks, of life on the rocks, until about a plus 1.7 tide. We'll also use Campbell Cove, which is at the entrance of Bodega Harbor. It's really great for the younger kids. By the way, we do transitional kindergarten, 4-year-olds all the way up through grade 12. So there's a wide range of ages if you have a preference for working with one age over another. But we'll use Campbell Cove. We need a minus 0.5 tide at Campbell Cove. And we'll be having our site visit for new volunteers on February 9th. We'll be going to Campbell Cove. The photograph on the right is, that's an operculum. It's the trap door of a giant moon snail, which is one of the star organisms that we see at Campbell Cove. You don't, like Mike said about the Armstrong redwood ecology, you don't need to know a lot. Our primary purpose is to show people how to explore this area with their own safety in mind, as well as respect for the organisms living there. Although you find that it's a very enthusiastic group that's really interested in learning about all of these animals. We have a group email, email group that's going, And when people are out exploring on their own, they're often posting photographs of their discoveries and what they find. And it's a great way of learning about all of the different animals out there as well. We also have rovers, and they go out on the beach of their choice for a couple of hours during low tides. In fact, this afternoon, there's a roving event at Shell Beach. It's a really nice low tide all this weekend because of the king tides in the mornings. And here you are assisting park visitors. They're usually families that are out there, and you're helping them explore this area again with their own safety in mind. A lot of them are not as aware of ocean safety principles as they should be. The Sonoma coast can be a little tricky with sneaker waves during certain times of the year. And then also showing people how to explore with doing as little damage as possible to the animals. We also have a touch table, which you don't need to get your feet wet and you don't need a low tide. We have the touch table going to different events. There's the North Bay Science Discovery Day on March 8th. There's also Fish Fest in Bodega Bay. It's going to the Monterey School in February. And this is yet another way that you can participate in tide pool education. We have a Zoom orientation on the morning of February 9th and a site visit at Campbell Cove in the afternoon. As Mike said about the Redwood ecology programs, we encourage you to shadow. You're not left out on your own. And I check in with you if you're doing tide pool education with you. I check in with you after every field trip to gauge your comfort level, and you will not be scheduled on your own until you feel comfortable doing so. I will say, however, that I've had people shadowing me and then I turn around and then they're off on their own. So it doesn't take long for most people to get excited and feel comfortable in that kind of environment. So are there any questions about tide pool education or roving? Okay, next slide, please. We have a seabird monitoring program out at the coast, and we're a chapter of the Seabird Protection Network, which is under the auspices of the Greater Farallones Marine Sanctuary. And we partner with the California Coastal National Monument, which has responsibility for all of the offshore rocks along the entire coast of California. The seabirds are really the sentinels of the health of the ocean because they aren't underwater and their productive success is really dependent upon the health of the food chain. Obviously, there are some concerns with ocean warming and with the climate issues. And so the baseline data that we're collecting is really are really important indicators of the health of the ocean and what's going on underwater. We monitor 4 sites between Jenner and Bodega Head. 3 of the sites we monitor on weekdays, and then Gleason we monitor on weekends. So there are opportunities for those of you that work Monday through Friday. Again, you don't have to know everything about these birds. You don't have to know anything about them, actually, because you're always with an experienced monitor and they're wonderful mentors. We ask for a minimum of 1 shift a month. However, most people get really intrigued with the family life and what's going on at a particular site. And there are some that we just can't keep away. They're out there every single week, keeping up with what's going on. There are only 6 or 7 species that we look at. The only confusion is among the 3 different species of cormorants. But once you get used to, if you tune into one site, a lot of people move around. We encourage you to do that, but a lot of people find that they are really interested in what's going on in Gull Rock or what's going on off of Bodega Head, and so they tend to stick to one site. Our season starts officially in April. However, the common murres are arriving earlier and earlier. And so there are a couple of sites where they breed where we actually begin in February and March upon their arrival. And the breeding season generally runs through the end of August, depending on the species of birds. The common murres are really interesting. They're like our penguins. And they first arrived at Gull Rock, which is just south of Jenner, in 2012. There are now over 8,000 of them that we count, but we're only seeing half of them. Aerial photographic surveys have shown that there are actually twice as many that we can't see from land. They have been expanding their territory to where they've now moved in with the Brandt's cormorants off of Bodega Rock in the middle of Bodega Bay. And the past 2 years, they have just started colonizing right off of the west side of Bodega Head. And it's really kind of exciting because most of the literature says it's a very rare opportunity to observe the formation of a common murre colony because usually they're so far offshore. And we have been documenting the formation of now a third one over the time that we've been monitoring these shorebirds since 2013. We have a Zoom orientation and training on March 3rd, and then we have site visits on Bodega Head on March 20th. So are there any questions about seabird monitoring? Okay, well, thank you very much for coming this morning, and I hope to see some of you out at the coast.
Thank you, Hollis. And Hollis mentioned that there is a very low tide this afternoon, and we have a minus tide pooling event led by some of our roving tide pool docents. That's at 1:15 at Shell Beach. I know that there is space that is opened up. It's a free event. So if any of you actually are, in the area and you want to pop out there after this, you want to wear shoes that can get wet, wear layers of clothing, and then you'll meet at the Shell Beach parking lot at 1:15 today. So you're welcome to join.
And please ask them questions. If you're interested in the program, if you're interested in any of our tide pool programs, they're there to answer your questions at all.
So Stewards has a contract with the Sonoma County Water Agency to be monitoring the river mouth when the water agency has to do a breach. Some of you might know that occasionally the river mouth will close up various times of the year, generally, late spring, summer, and in the fall, and even into December. And the water agency will monitor the water levels and then come out with heavy equipment and then open up the river mouth. Of course, that is the home of, a lot of marine life, including the harbor seals and sea lions and other animals. And so the pinniped monitoring is something that's done in shifts just before the breach, the day before, and then the day after the breach of the river. It involves being up on the overlook that Suzanne mentioned, that's just a little bit north of Jenner, off of Highway 1, where you can look down and see the beaches and the river mouth area, and filling out some forms and making observations over a 4-hour period. And then we submit that information back to the water agency for their reporting. And so it's an amazing opportunity to really observe wildlife over time, to record whether human activities are having a disturbance and what that disturbance is, and then be able to really help these agencies understand how that work is affecting them. We will do an individual training for this as well. And I'm wondering, Hollis, do you want to add anything to that description that I just made? And does anyone have any questions? Okay, great.
I'm sorry, I was muted.
Oh, that's fine. Do you want to add anything?
No, I don't. Sorry about that.
Okay, we'll watch. And Colleen. Oh, Colleen, you have to unmute, please. I think it's probably in your lower left.
Is that it?
You got it.
Oh, good. I missed it the first time. Okay. Welcome to Whale Watch. We have the wonderful opportunity every year to get an opportunity to get out and see the whales in their own environment, not according to anybody's schedule, but their own. And sometimes people are so excited to see the whales that they actually clap hands or tears even flow because of the excitement. Needless to say, the whales are very impressive creatures to see. And we do our sighting at Bodega Head. So it's a wonderful spot because it's, standing, the headland stands out over the ocean, as you can see in that lower picture. And so you have a broad view of the ocean. At this time of the year, we expect to see the whales heading south to Baja. They come from the Alaskan waters where they've done their the majority of their feeding and heading towards Baja, mating on the way, getting ready, thinking of the next year's crop of babies, and the females, the pregnant females who are ready to give birth, kind of lead the way down to the warm waters of the lagoons of Baja, where they can give birth in that nice, warm, very salty water. The salinity of the water actually helps the baby be able to come up to take its first breath. And it's just one more wonderful aspect of nature doing its thing, and all the rhythms that are important to keep everything going. B. Brunn, who was the person who really formed the Whale Watch group in the late 1980s, and when we were still called the Stewards of Slavianka at that time, she got the program started, and it was really, it's just been something that's been quite fascinating to many, many people who want to see whales, which is what drew my husband Rich and I. We were camping in the area and came across Bee, and she had a little where she was, there was a little sign, "Do you want to become a whale watcher?" We thought, oh, that sounds nice. Well, we live in Sacramento, so it's a little far to go, but we fortunately have a camper van, so we can camp and when we come to the coast. So we come for the weekend, and over the years have become coordinators, and that kind of helps keep our group together. The as has been mentioned before here, that it's amazing. The thing that surprised me most when I started, just the people who come. There's sometimes the parking lot has triple rows, and all the way up along the road, people are coming from literally all over the world. Last Saturday, I talked to a very nice family from Fiji, and to compare what they see in their part of the ocean. So it's just really remarkable, not only what we have to impart to the public, but also the things that we learn about. And to me, that's a real highlight. Our location is particularly helpful to people with mobility issues or those who can't go out on a whale watch boat because of seasickness or something like that. So they appreciate the fact that we have a nice big parking lot, and then you can step up, as you can see, to the area that overlooks the ocean there. And it really makes it accessible. Now, if you've been to Bodega Head before, you might know it gets a little breezy out there sometimes. So we have recently changed our hours. We're there on Saturdays and Sundays, but we changed them a little earlier in the day from 10 to 2. We used to do noon to 4, but it seemed like the wind often comes up in the afternoon. So when people say, what's the best time to watch for the whales? Well, the truth of it is, weather and wind have a big part in that. And because what are we looking for? A blow of the air, that the spout that tells us that the whales are there. So the wind blowing hard takes away that spout, or causes so many whitecaps that you can't tell the difference between a whitecap and a whale blow. So that the answer to that question is whenever you can. You see them when you can. It's nature. Okay. And the whales that are making the migration from we're out there from January to May. They come a little earlier than that, but it's because it's a very predictable pattern. Part of it is that their mating on the way down allows for the 13-month gestation. I love to tell that to pregnant ladies that are watching, and they're going, oh, 13 months. Oh, so that all works out. So then the baby, next year's baby's going to be born around Christmas. It's very helpful that way. The shifts, again, are Saturdays and Sundays, 10 to 2, January through May. And we'd like you to come at least once a month, if not more. Actually, today, if you want to, let's see, if you have time to go out there, they'll be there until 2 o'clock, and and tomorrow as well. So you'd have an opportunity to see what it's like. Also, you'll find that the presentation is not formal. It's quite informal, really. Going back to Amelia's suggestions of just starting a conversation and sort of finding out where they are. If they have an opportunity to, have seen whales for years and they know all about them, that's fine. But many times it is a very rudimentary level of knowledge, and we have a touch table that kind of helps support that too, so that we can tell them, just the basics of whale watching. So if you are interested in coming out to join us as whale watchers, first, maybe just to look and see, there's no real formal training, but I think you will find that by teaming up with a veteran, that you can pick up on the basics. And we have a nice, very nicely printed card that we hand out to the public, but it also has a lot of facts, if so that you can keep track of how many miles they travel and how big they are. So there's lots and lots of things to learn about whales. I think you'll enjoy it and come out and be a whale watcher. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Are there any questions about Whale Watch? Okay, we'll move on to Claire and Seal Watch.
Hello, thank you so much for being here today. So my name is Claire. I am the volunteer program coordinator for Seal Watch. A little bit of history about Seal Watch. In the 1970s, there was a big environmental movement in the United States. And in 1972, the Marine Mammal Protection Act was passed federally to protect marine mammals. In 1985, a Jenner resident named Diane Hardy and other local activists realized that the seal rookery on the beach in Jenner was in danger of people coming onto the beach, loose dogs, and at the time, sewage pollution that was in the Russian River that would affect this rookery of seals. A rookery of seals means that these seals live on the beach out in Jenner about year round, but it also means that there are pups on the beach from about March through early fall out here in this area. So they formed Seal Watch, which at the time, this was in 1985, was called the Stewards of Slavianka, which is, I believe, Russian for seals. It was one of the first programs of the Stewards of the Coast and Redwoods. And since then, we have developed to be stewards, interpreters, and educators for the seal population that we are so lucky to have out right in our backyard in Jenner. So the role of Seal Watch is we have two locations out there. We are on the beach, which you can see from the bottom right hand on my screen corner. And we also have a location at the boat ramp, which is right next to the Jenner Visitor Center. And that is so we can speak to visitors, both that come out to the beach. And in that way, we set up ropes to create kind of a boundary from these animals when they haul out on the beaches with their pups. And that's 150 yards or 150 feet, 50 yards based on the Marine Mammal Protection Act. And we can interpret these animals and their behaviors for visitors to the beach. At the boat ramp, we talk to a lot of kayakers and paddleboarders. Like Suzanne mentioned, a lot of people come out for water recreation. And we are there just to advise them not to get too close to from the water to these animals, as it's possible to flush these animals, which is when they're disturbed and they head back into the water. And that's just a disturbance that humans don't need to cause for these creatures. So we are out there from March through Labor Day. Our shifts are on the weekend on the beach. It's 4 hours from 10 to 2, no, let's see, 11 to 2 and 2 to 5. And then at the boat launch, it's 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We have our first Zoom orientation meeting training on March 1st, and we can send out that link. And if you're interested in Seal Watch, you can contact me or Bet or Lisa or anybody for that link. We will also have an in-person training in March, possibly the next weekend. It really always depends on weather. Last year, we were rained out several times before we were actually able all to meet. And then we continue in shifts throughout the summer, and we have a lot of experienced volunteers that you're welcome to shadow and learn from. And I think the appeal for a lot of people for this program is that you're just out on the beach talking to people for your shift and watching these animals do their little animal thing, and it's adorable. You also have the benefit of being out on Goat Rock Beach, which means that you can often see the whale spouts just when you're out there volunteering. And we really have the opportunity, like Colleen was mentioning, to speak with people from around the world, and it's always a really fantastic experience. Part of what we've been doing recently is, and I think Amelia had spoken about talking very gently to visitors, especially about dogs on the beach. Goat Rock is a dog-free beach, at least on the side that we are at, and so sometimes we are tasked with gently reminding people that it is a dog-free beach just for the protection of these animals. And we have training specifically on how to approach that, and that you don't have to approach that at all if that's not something that you're comfortable with. So we have a variety of tasks, but I think it really is a beautiful location to be out on the weekend just speaking to visitors. And there's a lot of fulfillment that I think our volunteers get from helping these animals and these pups on the beach. And we're out there with binoculars, and we have a very complete docent guide book and binders and shift reports. So it's a very, I think, supportive program. And I love that we're out there able to help these animals. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And if you're interested in Seal Watch and our orientation, you can reach out to me or Bet or Lisa. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Claire. Any questions? So we'll move on to the volunteer trail crew, Paul.
Thanks, Lisa, and thanks everyone who's shown up for being interested in the various opportunities and options for volunteering with Stewards of the Coast and Redwoods. I'm a volunteer with the Stewards Trail Crew, and this picture is actually taken from a sign that's at Shell Beach showing the original Trail Crew folks. As you can see, most of those folks, the hair color is either white or none. And what we're doing, so we're always looking for new folks to come on board and join, men and women, and people that are working, although most of us are retired, but some folks' schedules make it possible for them to come on Wednesdays. We meet every Wednesday from 9 to about 2. If you do know something about tools, or you don't know anything about tools, this is a great opportunity to learn whatever you like, anything from pruning shears to chainsaws and 35-ton log splitters. We have trainings for the things that really need training, and safety is a big issue for us to make sure everybody's on board. If you look at this slide, the guy on the right sitting on the log there is Rich Lawton. He couldn't be here today, and so I'm standing in for him. But Rich is a great liaison with Bet for the overall volunteer things. Rich works and organizes our trail crew days, and works with the state crews and the steward crews that we interact with doing the various work that we do. So there's an opportunity for anybody, men or women. Also, we have a woman who makes cookies, which is wonderful. She's one of our most valuable volunteers. We have had a mascot, Simba. Simba's since retired, but we'll have to. I guess we could take the banana slug as our current mascot. Now we work on Wednesdays, as I said, to keep out of the way of the crowds that come on the weekends. We do get plenty of crowds even during the week, but we're kind of in various remote areas a lot of time. But we clear out down trees that are hazardous. You can see this one hanging over the road below. So we want to make sure that nobody gets themselves or their cars crushed if they're coming up that way. We work in various ways. At Armstrong, here's a log splitter that we use to create firewood that gets sold out at the campgrounds along the state beach. Put in new signs. You may have seen in the Whale Watch slideshow, there was a group up on the left sitting in front of a sign. We installed that sign and did some removal, but that was also the trail crew, a lot of people. We work in the natural reserve, so we're down on the valley floor, interacting with folks there. Up in Austin Creek, which is near Bullfrog Pond, also includes Pond Farm. So if you never get a chance to go out and get a tour of Pond Farm, once or twice a year, we go out there and mow the lawn and clear out, down trees and stuff. So you might be able to get yourself an ad hoc private self-guided tour. But we have a lot of fun burning piles. We do work on the Sonoma coast, all the way from Goat Rock all the way down to Bodega Head, clearing trails, doing trail maintenance, putting in steps, cleaning up around the bridges, and cleaning the trails just to make sure all the vegetation doesn't start growing over. It's amazing how much work there is to do. It's a never-ending story. So you got job security as a volunteer. And then we also work up at Willow Creek Watershed. You can see the coast, the ocean out to the west. There's a different place almost every week, and a different experience. And we just have a lot of fun and work hard. Some of the things we do, this is one of our volunteers clearing out the drainage so we don't get flooding of the sidewalk or the parking lots. We build bridges. Some things we work with the state, some things we have done on our own. This is a bridge that got washed out, I believe, and the state actually repaired this one. So we work on keeping it clear. Sometimes we got very fun tools. I haven't seen this one myself since I've been here. And wanted to say that the trail crew's been over 20 years that they've been doing this kind of work. So the job security is definitely there. And these are folks just clearing out, putting on gravel for the trail, and making sure that it's packed and solid so that people don't slip and get hurt. Trail clearance, you can see the left side is the before picture and the right side is after. So if we didn't do the before, you wouldn't see any after, because after a couple of seasons, or even after a long wet season, that left side would be completely covered over. Chainsaws, get to play with chainsaws. It's my own personal favorite. In fact, I learned to use a chainsaw that didn't know anything about it, and so it's a great opportunity to learn a new skill and have some fun. Sometimes you just need a handsaw though, so that's fun too. But it's always good exercise. It's a great opportunity. Sometimes it's a bigger deal too. Great opportunity to get your exercise and keep you out of the gym. I'm not a gym rat myself, so this is a great way for me to stay in shape. This is a up close and personal, clearing some of the brush that overgrows the trails. This looks like it might be in Pomo Canyon. We built some sheds in various places. In fact, we just got a brand new shed out at the Will Creek shop, which is wonderful. Be nice to have a picture of that. Log splitter. This is a smaller. We call this one the guillotine, because it just goes straight up and down. And there's the beast, which will split one log round into 4 big pieces or more. It's pretty noisy and pretty fun. But again, you don't have to know anything to come and do this stuff. We'll get you the training and only things that you feel comfortable with. Some folks are comfortable with chainsaws. Some folks are comfortable with loppers. So whatever you want to do, we've got a job for you. This is just an exercise in futility. We've done repairs out at the Bodega Dunes campfire. We also have been working out at the Armstrong Forest Theater, also taking out old benches and bringing in the boards for new ones, kind of working with the state on that. These cable steps, this is probably near Shell Beach. I guess for years we would go out and fix them, and then the ocean would wash them away in the storms. We'd fix them, and finally one of our white-haired leaders said, we're not doing that anymore. So this is not something that you're going to have to be doing, carrying down big boards down to the beach. And there are tools to do the big stuff. There's Rich again on the blue shirt. Sometimes we do have to use handwork. We use shovels, picks, tampers, McLeods. So like, again, something for everybody. And you range all over. So the terrain that you're in is always varied and always interesting, and you never get stuck going to the same place all the time. We do work rain or shine, but again, it's always fun. Some people don't care about the rain, but others care a little bit more. And this is such an opportunity to do some good for the community, do something for nature, contributing to just cleaning up the place and working with people that are of similar interests, similar ethics, and you get to be in nature and you get to stay fit. So come on back, come on down, and if you want to join Trail Crew, you can contact Bet, or you can go to the Stewards website, or if you're good on the mailing list for the Stewards of the Coast and Redwoods, you probably get our Trail Crew reports, and you can contact Rich directly. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
So Amelia's going to say a little bit about the state parks paperwork and the systems that are used for volunteer logging.
Does anybody have any questions before I get started on paperwork and database? No? Okay, I'm gonna share my screen.
Okay, so I'm going to stop my share.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Can you share? Is it giving you permission?
Yeah. Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so as Bet mentioned, if you go to the Stewards website, stewardscr.org, there's a volunteer tab here. Then if you hover over that, a few tabs will pop up beneath it. And if you click volunteer opportunities and scroll down, there's this big bold sentence that says, download the new volunteer onboarding packet. So it is here on the Stewards website, and I'm going to go over the forms here. But please don't hesitate to reach out to me and Bet, and we can help you whichever way is easiest. We can send the paperwork via DocuSign, or you can meet with Bet at the office at Armstrong. The onboarding packet just starts with a welcoming paragraph here. You can sign up for the Stewards newsletter here. This is Bet's phone number to have a conversation about what might be the best fit for yourself, what your interests are, and then the paperwork. So if you keep scrolling down this onboarding packet, there's the application to tell us a little more about yourself. And then this form will pre-fill the rest of the paperwork. So I'm going to just show you by typing in my name. It'll show up down here now. So that's the purpose of that one. And this is the volunteer service agreement. So this lays out the agreement between the Department of Parks and Recreation and new volunteers. As a volunteer, you will be covered under our workers' comp policy should anything happen while you're volunteering. We also cover tort liability if there's any accident involving a visitor. So just be aware of that. And then you can sign it down here. Emergency contacts at the bottom. You can ignore the back of that form. And then this form, if you were to get injured, this is the form you would use if you have a specific physician that you would like to see. It's optional, but if you do, you would tell us who it is here. There's a little note here at the bottom. The physician is not required to sign this form, but if they don't, other documentation would be needed that they agreed. So, and then the visual media consent form is if you're okay with us using your picture in publications like the Weekly Digest or annual reports, then you would sign this one, but it's also optional. And then please sign and insert a duty statement here. So part of the volunteer service agreement is a copy of the volunteer duty statement must be attached for whatever program you would like to volunteer for. So those are available online as well. If you see here, complete a duty statement for the program you wish to volunteer for, you can click this link. And the duty statements are here for each program. But of course, if I send it, you could just let us know which program you're interested in, and I can send the paperwork all ready to go. But these are helpful to look at just for a little more detail or a reminder of what each program. It just has the specifics of each program, what to expect and timing and training. So there's that. And you can sign as many duty statements as you like to participate in as many programs as you like. You just have to complete the rest of the paperwork just once. And then there's also a online database that California State Parks uses to keep track of volunteer time. There's a link to it here, but once you complete paperwork, I'll send a link if you haven't created a profile on there yet. Also, I'm happy to create a profile for you if you don't want to go through this process. Just let me know, and you can report your volunteer time to me via email, and I'm happy to go in and enter it for you. But if you're new to this software, a few different organizations use Better Impact for keeping track of volunteer time. So you might have a profile for some other organization. And if you do, you would sign in on the right side here where it says, I already have a username. But if you're new, you would just create a username. I'm just going to go through this really quick, briefly, so that you can see how simple the process is. And just enter your email address here twice. Save and continue. And then here it asks you to create a password and write it again. Oh, it has to be at least 12 characters, sorry. That's nice. It has these little reminder boxes if you need to go back and do anything or if something's not right, it'll alert you with some red notification. And then moving forward in this form, all you have to do is make sure that you complete the fields with flags beside them. And it asks for your mailing address. This is the address that headquarters will use if you earn a volunteer pass. I forgot to mention that. If you volunteer 40 hours in a year, then headquarters will send a district-wide day use pass, and 200 hours earns a statewide day use pass. And the deadline is coming up next Wednesday to enter 2024 volunteer hours. And that's a nice little perk for volunteering. And then please enter at least one phone number. And that's that, then just your birthday in that format. Oop. 1988. Birthday, and that's it. I'm going to save and continue. And then this page will ask for your emergency contact information. Those are required. These fields are not required, so if you wanted to go back later, that's a possibility. You have to answer if you've ever served as a volunteer. And then what's your primary park? And that's it. This little box will tell you what you're agreeing to. Some additional information will be required on the paperwork. If you're okay with that, you click I agree. And then you just have to click the submit button at the bottom. And with that, it will send me a notification that you've submitted your application, and I'll go in and set it up so that it's ready to log in and report time. And I'll show that real quick. If you go to myimpactpage.com, you can sign in with the username that you created. And it'll look like this. There's a news section here. Headquarters will put, they had a meeting the other day about how to use this. They're going to be doing it monthly, actually, how to use Better Impact if you need any support. Rachel Young at headquarters is really great about walking through the whole thing. She's going to do that monthly moving forward. So that'll be here at the top. And then there will be news particular to Stewards down here. We have a viola planting coming up. And I put some other interesting links here. There's a 2024 highlights video about California state parks. So, and then the mission statement for Stewards is here. But the most important thing that we use this database for is reporting volunteer time, which can be accessed by this hours tab here at the top in the middle. And you just want to, you probably won't have to select an organization, but maybe if you have a profile in other organizations. And then you just select an activity. So say I went to do whale watch today for 4 hours, and some activities will ask for a little feedback about your experience. So you can say whatever you feel like saying, but you can say, I interacted with 8 visitors and saw, 3 whales. Whatever you want to put there. And then just push save. And it'll show up here. Yeah, that's the basics of that. That's really all you need to know how to do on there. Any questions about any of that?
Amelia, I just wanted to chime in. Some people are concerned that they have to, every time they go out and help out with something or volunteer with something, they have to record their hours right then. And if they're going out 3 or 4 or 5 times a week, that's a lot of times to do that. So you don't have to do that. What I do is I keep track on my desk, and then once a month I go in and record the hours for that whole month.
That's
So
fine.
so Amelia's fine with trying to simplify all the paperwork.
Totally. If it's easier to keep track on paper or some other way, totally fine to go in at the end of the week or the month and enter all of your hours for that week or month on that last day. It won't let you log hours for the future, but you can go in on that last day and enter hours. Thank you, Mike.
And thank you, Amelia. There's so much support. This is just an overview, and so Amelia is happy to help you walk you through the paperwork. Bet can set you up with Amelia and DocuSign and answer a lot of your questions. And we just want you to know there's a lot of support here for you. I'm going to share my screen one last time and just briefly show you the website, which Amelia started you on. If you're interested in volunteering and you want a reminder about the different opportunities, here are the tabs you can go to. There's opportunities and there's volunteer resources. There's a huge amount of training materials and information here on this tab right here. Really, it's a lot. There's links to our recordings. I also want to point out that if you are interested in any of the specific trainings, this is the place to find them. Go to events, education and training, and then scroll down and you're going to see flyers here, event pages for all of our specialized trainings. So if you want to be part of let's move down to the Tidal education trainings, you hit more info. It is not sold out. I'm going to fix that. I don't know why it says that. Seal Watch is here. So you can actually sign up for the individual trainings. And here's our Armstrong Redwoods docent training. And also, as you can see, there's also a lot of classes. We have a tracking class today. We have a lot of night forest immersions and a lot of other courses and classes being added all the time. So that is a good resource. The website's a good resource for you there. Here's some ways that you can help stewards. And again, you can explore our website and reach out to us. I'm going to send a follow-up email with just some links in it and with contact information for Bet and Amelia so that you can follow up with them. And if there's any more questions, let us know. Otherwise, I'm going to let anyone have any questions? Okay, Bet, do you want to close this out, please? And
Yes, thank you, Lisa. Well done. And thank you, everyone, once again for sharing your Saturday morning with us. We are very, very grateful for your interest and your time. A lot of information was covered here. Please don't be intimidated by the paperwork. Amelia went through that quickly, but we're here to hold your hand to help you. We'll help with the onboarding. It does seem a little overwhelming, but it isn't. Again, we're here to help, and it's one step at a time. As I said earlier, the path of least resistance is to let Amelia and I set this up for you for electronic signature via DocuSign, and that's the least painless way to accomplish your paperwork. Okay. Again, your time is very much appreciated. Please reach out if you have any questions at all. We will be circling back with each one of you individually, and we hope you'll volunteer with us. For those of you who already are volunteers, thank you so much for all that you do. And again, we appreciate you sharing your time this morning. Thank you.
thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
And looking forward to seeing more of you in the seasons ahead.
Thank you.
Have a great day.